Rayman is back, kind of. Let's not waste any time here with the formalities of admitting that last month my video about this exact thing happening was correct. And let's just get into why. As many people may already know, Ubisoft dropped their best game in years this January in the form of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This 2D platformer Metroidvania style game was a critical success and single-handedly saved the public perception of Prince of Persia after that train wreck of a reveal for the Sands of Time remake a few years back. So, obviously, the team that made the game are going on to do great things, right? Well, actually, yes. And no. Just recently, it was reported that the development team of this game has been disbanded, following a failure to meet sales expectations. Coupled with this news, it was revealed that a sequel had been planned, but development was never started, again due to poor sales of The Lost Crown. Now, why it didn't meet expectations is still kind of up in the air. Were the expectations just ridiculous and never achievable? Probably. Knowing AAA companies these days, especially Ubisoft, they expect 10 million sales in the first 3 months, but I would imagine it's probably more because they failed so spectacularly to market the game that no one knew it came out. Sure, we all knew it existed, but for a game of this quality, in a franchise so recognisable, it's embarrassing how little coverage it got. I mean, I was excited for the game, like actually excited, I couldn't wait to play it, and I didn't realise it had come out until months later. I know that's a bit of a skill issue on my part, I'm a very busy man, but good marketing should overpower all of that. So they've been disbanded, but what does that mean? Well, despite the semi-outrage it caused upon first being reported earlier today, no one's actually been fired, as far as we know. Obviously, anyone could have been fired for anything at any point, but this doesn't mean anyone was fired. It just means the team of people who made Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown are no longer working together on the same projects as that exact same team. They are all still at Ubisoft. Ubisoft have just moved each person to a different project. Well, to 3 projects, apparently. So a lot of the developers will still be working with one another, just not all on the same game at the same time. Which is fine. These, by the way, are the developers at Ubisoft Montpellier, a studio with one of the strongest portfolios of games in the entire Ubisoft company. I'm talking every Rayman game, the best Rabbids game, Beyond Good and Evil 2 allegedly, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown of course, Valiant Hearts, Peter Jackson's King Kong. They're a big player in the Ubisoft collective and more importantly one of the most talented. So hearing about this unfortunate disbanding of the team is a little concerning. Anyway, what's this got to do with Rayman? Well, Insider Gaming today have reported that a Rayman remake is in development at Ubisoft Milan and some of the developers who worked on The Lost Crown have been moved to work on that project. Around 12 apparently. The rest of the team have been moved to work on the next Ghost Recon title and Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I can't believe is still in development. Well, I can very much believe it, but that's for another theory video. I think it's been restarted and is actually quite close to completion and will probably come out in early 2026, but let's talk about that another time. This is Rayman. So, a Rayman remake. What? Firstly, it's tremendously exciting that some developers from Montpellier are going to be working on this. They've got Rayman woven into their DNA, so it'd be a shame for them not to be involved. I mean, from a fan's perspective, it just gives me hope that it'll be good, you know? They have a habit of making good Rayman games after all. As reported by Insider Gaming, who have sources close to the project, apparently. We'll get into the validity of Insider Gaming at the end of the video, but for now I'll just say they have got a good track record, especially with Ubisoft, so we should probably trust them. Their article is linked in the comments below, by the way, if you wanted to read it. Yes, as reported by them, the project is under development with the codename Project Steamboat. Now, we could all try and use that codename to work out which Rayman game is being remade, and if we were to do that, we'd obviously reach the conclusion that it's Rayman 2. Robot pirates, a pirate ship that could absolutely have been called Steambot or Steamboat. It feels like the most appropriate, but it's a codename, so, you know, they could call it Codename Kitchen if they want. It means nothing for now, really. Assassin's Creed Shadows used to be called Codename Red, which, I mean, I guess the game is kind of red. You'd never have worked it out though, would you? Anyway, Ubisoft Milan are a long-running studio who've primarily served as additional developers on some of Ubisoft's bigger games, including Assassin's Creed. They're also the sole developers of a number of mobile titles and the Just Dance series. However, and this is what's really interesting, they were the developers of the Mario and Rabbids duology of games, Kingdom Battle and Sparks of Hope. These games were great. I prefer the second, I think, but it's really close, like really, really close. They both offer such different, rewarding experiences from each other, so it's hard to pit them against each other. Please go and check them out. They were really good, honestly. Anyway, you're watching a video about Rayman returning, so you don't need telling that Ubisoft Milan added a DLC for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope starring Rayman, and that game had a secret message at the end that gave us all a spark of hope that Rayman might come back one day. Before the game's director left, though, he did express great interest in making a new Rayman game, so it all makes a lot of sense that this is the studio that would be working on a Rayman remake. Now, apparently, Michel Ancel, the original franchise creator and director of the majority of the games, is on board as a consultant, so he won't be super involved, which is good because well, he doesn't work at Ubisoft anymore. There was some toxic workplace behaviour. It's not great. I don't want to get too into it because that's not the point of this video, but it derailed Beyond Good and Evil 2's development as far as we're aware, because he was the director of that for a while. But coming in as a consultant hopefully means he won't be too hands-on. They can just make sure that the magic he brought to Rayman maintains, but the unpleasant work environment doesn't, though this is Ubisoft, so it'll probably be unpleasant with or without him, very, very sadly. But if this is true, I have got questions, you've got questions, so let's talk about them. Question number one. Which one? Which game? It's a Rayman remake, so what's happening? Initially, I thought maybe it's Rayman 1 remade in the Origins and Legends engine. It would provide a brand new, unique way to play the original game. But if this is a result of other games having poor sales, then I think maybe remaking one of the least popular entries is not what they do. And look, I say least popular through gritted teeth, okay? Because I know it was the best-selling PS1 game in the UK. It's just very old now, and when people think of Rayman, at least, you know, the masses, not the real fans, they picture either a 3D iteration, probably Rayman 3, or Rayman Legends on the Switch. So that's why I said it's the least popular, okay? Though, if they did market it as a Rayman Legends style game, then maybe that could work. But for now, let's rule out Rayman 1. I don't think it's that. Though, when having a discussion with my chum Mega Motion, I was still very much suggesting that it could be a remake of the first. This was within minutes of the news breaking. He said it was Rayman 2, which obviously I do want to believe, so it didn't take a lot for him to convince me that it absolutely is going to be Rayman 2, and it's not even in question. It's one of the most popular games, arguably the most popular, and it is absolutely one of the most recognisable. And as Mega Motion said, it's like the most ported game ever made. So it's going to be that one. It's also very much in keeping with Ubisoft for them to see the Rayman 2 HD project being developed by fans and to stick a middle finger up at them by doing it too. If this is the case, I really hope it doesn't stop New Dawn Games from their amazing work. They showed off some new gameplay in a recent new update this week, and it's such an exciting project. Honestly, please go check it out. There's a link to it in the comments. I know I said in a previous video that Rayman 3 could be coming back, and I stand by that. If my Astrobot theory is correct, which, you know, I think it is, that's why it's my theory, then I think a Rayman 3 remaster is very much still on the cards, and, you know, very, very, very soon, as in the next 6 months soon. It won't be a big remake or anything. I think it'll be a remaster in the style of Beyond Good and Evil's 20th anniversary. It doesn't need to be a ground up remake, but Rayman 2 could really benefit from that, so I'm pretty firm on this game being Rayman 2, and there just being a separate Rayman 3 remaster coming soon. So if you're familiar with my Astrobot related theory, then yeah, I mean, it could be this. I think they're two separate things, you know? I mean, an easy to make Rayman 3 remaster. Cheap, easy to do, you know, they've already done it with Beyond Good and Evil. Release that in the next 6 months, followed by Rayman 2, like a fuller, bigger, ground up remake of Rayman 2. Could be the kickstart Rayman needs to get him in the public eye again. Ubisoft need people in the public, Ubisoft need money, quite frankly. They're done for. They need anything they can get. I think this is probably out of desperation more than anything. Obviously Rayman Origins and Legends are way too new for remakes, even by Ubisoft standards. It won't be any of the spin-offs, that would be really weird. So it is almost definitely Rayman 2, and that is so exciting. Okay, so to add to this, I'm actually recording this bit a little bit later while editing, as I just found this out. It seems like a known leaker has gone onto a discussion thread to confirm the game will be 3D and will release on the Switch 1. He specified the Switch 1, so that could mean it's really soon. Otherwise, they may have said the Switch 2, although I'm sure the Switch 1 will still get a fair amount of support after the Switch 2 comes out, if not from Nintendo, but from other companies, just because of how big a market the Switch 1 has. I think it's interesting that they specified the Switch 1. Maybe it is really soon. Who knows? It's interesting to see these details coming out now. As far as I'm aware, this leaker has gotten things right in the past, but I don't know too much about them, so take this one with a grain of salt. So, question number 2. When? When is this game coming out, and when did it enter development? I would assume it entered development shortly after the release of the Rayman DLC for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope. The team needed a new project to work on, and they've managed to convince Ubisoft that Rayman was worth putting some effort into again. It kind of fits perfectly, actually. Sparks of Hope underperformed, like Prince of Persia, but there was undoubtedly a boost in sales when Rayman jumped on the scene, so the higher-ups won't have needed to have been geniuses to work out that some full focus on Rayman would be the right move to actually hit sales goals for once. Rayman DLC came out in August 2023, so I'd imagine this has been in active development, maybe from the beginning of the year? 2024, I mean. When is it coming out? No idea. Ubisoft can't develop anything on time, and as we are well aware of by now, from Assassin's Creed Shadows getting delayed last minute to Beyond Good and Evil's 20th anniversary being inaccurately named due to it being delayed by a year, Ubisoft won't be making this game quickly. Or they'll be doing it too quickly and then have to keep delaying it. Either way, if I had to guess, I would say 2026 sounds pretty good, like late 2026 probably. You'll still be in early development now, but deep enough that they can add 12 developers to work on it right now. So clearly they've kicked into gear and are in active development, just, I think quite early on in that. I could be wrong, it might nearly be ready, but I can see at least 1.5 years to 2 years left on this project. Assuming nothing goes wrong, which, it's Ubisoft, so it might. However, despite all of that, this is Ubisoft, and they will release an unfinished project happily, obviously. They do this a lot, so it's possible they will do that here. So they could aim for a certain release date, and if the game isn't done, they just release it anyway. This is, like I say, it's Ubisoft, there's a solid chance they do that. And if that is the case, then it's coming out on September 1st, 2025. That's the 30th anniversary of Rayman 1 releasing, therefore Rayman's 30th anniversary. They've done anniversary releases before, as mentioned with Beyond Good and Evil, so I think it's quite likely that next year something will happen. Whether it's Rayman 3 Remastered, Rayman 2 Remake, whatever. But, Rayman's been more active this last 18 months than he has been for years, so I think this is all building up for something, probably for his anniversary. And the final question. How reliable is this? It's a leak, right? Well, I think it's very reliable. Insider Gaming has a habit of getting these things right, really far in advance in a lot of cases. They are, at least to me, one of the more reputable sources of gaming-related news and leaks. Just recently they led the reporting on Assassin's Creed Shadows' recent delays, and made it quite clear that they had contacts close to the projects or even working on them. Tom Henderson even goes out of his way to say they are waiting for confirmation and more information from sources before publishing articles, so I trust them. When it comes to Ubisoft especially, they're almost always right. I think this one is real, truly. Thanks for watching. This was thrown together last minute as the news broke less than an hour ago as of me recording this, so apologies if the editing is not to the usual standard on this channel. I just wanted to get this out there, start discussions, get Rayman talked about, get it trending, make it clear to Ubisoft that this is the kind of thing we want to see. Anyway, are you excited? What do you think it'll be? Rayman 2, the first one, Rayman 3, something else? Let me know in the comments. Let's chat about it. As always, stay awesome, stay limbless, play Rayman, and have a great day.